You know how a lot of time on this channel, I will make a video on something and then we'll come back to it. We'll circle back to it like weeks later because I don't actually do it. I just learn it, make a video about it, then forget about it. This time, I did something completely different. I sat down, I looked up some stuff about like my ego and my anxiety and why it's so hard for me to stay out of my own way when I'm playing the game. I watched a bunch of videos, I took notes, I figured some things out, and I practiced it. I spent a week and a half practicing it. And for the most part, it has done wonders for me. Sometimes I still lose my cool, right? You're going to. I'm human. Sometimes I just forget what I'm trying to practice. But most of the time that I've been practicing, it has done wonders for me. What I'm going to show you now is a clip from Dr. K that kind of put everything into perspective and gave me the 3 steps that I needed to conquer the 2 things that just haunt me the most.
How can you overcome the ego that arises within? Great question. So the first thing is to recognize what is ego and what is not ego. Because the first thing that you've got to do is recognize when your ego is active, right? Recognize when you have thoughts of I'm too good for this or I'm better than other people. So here are the clues of ego. Ego pumps yourself up and knocks other people down, and ego makes comparisons. So anytime you make a comparison between 2 people, that's ego. So the first thing you've got to do is see it arising. So see it arising and then notice it. And then as you notice it, you begin to get this capacity of saying, oh, that's my ego. I'm not going to do that. Right? But you can't do that if you're on autopilot. Like you have to notice it and say like, oh, that's my anxiety. Like I know you guys have done this where everyone's done this, where it's like, I don't want to jump in the water and I'm anxious that I'm going to feel cold. And you acknowledge that you don't want to jump in the water, and then you're like, okay, time to jump into the water. Like, you can separate a part of your mind aside and choose to act independently of it, but you can't do that without the separation.
So in my notes, like the notes that I read every single day, that usually have nothing to do with the game, they usually just have to do with things that I need to fix as a fucking human being on this planet, I put 3 steps. I broke down what he said into 3 steps, and I put step 1, is recognize when the ego is active. And these are things like, I'm too good for this, or I'm better than other people. The ego pumps yourself up and it brings others down. And most of all, the problem that I have the most is the ego making comparisons with other people. And I'll be honest with you, step 1 is probably enough for most of you. Like, just for you to recognize when your ego is active, most of you will probably just be rational human beings and say, oh, what I'm thinking is not really how I feel. This is a different part of my brain, and I can act independently of it, and we can fix this here. We don't need 2 or 3 more steps. But I needed a little bit more structure, so I kept going. Because for me, in my own experience, it's not enough for me to say that, oh, I'm making a bad comparison right now, or I'm comparing myself to somebody else, or I'm really looking down on another person for no reason. It's not enough, because I can recognize it, but I can't fight back against it a lot of the time. So I need more layers. I need more structure. And so I went on with step 2. And this is the shortest step. It's just the separation. Like, I noticed my ego is active, and now I need to create a separation in my mind between this ego and this anxiety and me. And like what I'm actually trying to do. And I need to wipe away the ego and the anxiety. Like, I've separated it out, and now I need to get rid of it. And that's where the 3rd step comes in. And it's the simplest one of all. And all it says is step 3, when you notice it, just say, oh, that's my anxiety, or that is my ego. And once you've made it that far, it helped me a lot. It's going to sound kind of silly to some people. It helped me a lot to have a visual in my mind of like those words written, like the words anxiety and the words ego written, and just like have a visual of like somebody wiping it off. Like, I don't know, it's written on like a whiteboard or something, and it's being wiped away, and then it's kind of like a clean slate. That helped me a lot. I will say it can be difficult at the beginning to even recognize when your ego is active, or like when your anxiety is active, but it's very much based in your emotions. Like for me, I know my ego is active if I'm getting angry, or if I'm getting like upset or sad, or like a little bit depressed that I'm losing. I know that that's my ego, because I'm comparing myself to the other person and saying I should be winning, or I will never win against this person. And then I realize, because of my emotional responses, that my ego is active. Same thing with anxiety, but that's mostly like fear based. Like if I'm playing neutral and I'm playing super far away, super scared, and like blocking a lot, like playing super passive, then I know that I have like fear in me, like I'm scared, and that's caused by my anxiety. And I can tell myself, oh, this is my anxiety, and I can just get rid of it. I can just use that visual, like I can visualize those two emotions and those like words, like I said, that silly little example of somebody writing it on a whiteboard and wiping it away. I can visualize that, and then I wipe it away, and I feel like I feel better. I feel way better. Even if I lose, I still feel like better about it. It takes a lot of practice, though. It takes a lot of discipline, I should say. Not practice. That's not the right word. Discipline is what it takes. Because I can promise you, you're going to watch this video and you're probably going to try what I said. Like, if you're serious about like, getting good or like overcoming these emotional and like mental hurdles of yours, and you go and try this, you're going to still get frustrated. Like, you're going to run into Honda and Blanca and get butt slammed, Blanca balled, rainbow ball, hit for 80%. You're going to feel like you're getting robbed and that you should be beating people and winning these matchups and that you're working way harder and all these things. You're still going to feel all those things, but it takes discipline to not get angry and act on the anger, or to get scared and act on the fear. It also will take a lot out of you trying to play the game and control your mental state. Like, because I mean, the game itself is very demanding. The genre of games, of fighting games, is very demanding, and once you add like the mental gymnastics of trying to control the things that are happening in your mind, then it gets even tougher, and it's going to take a lot out of you. It's going to take a lot of discipline. It's not easy. If it was, everybody would be walking around like a sage. But I truly believe that at some point, whether it's today or it's tomorrow or it's 6 months from now or 6 decades from now, you will yearn for some level of control over your emotions, over your ego, over your anxiety, over your fear, your anger, whatever it is you feel. You will want some level of control. And whether you start to understand that today or tomorrow or whenever it hits you, it is up to you. But I think the sooner the better. Let's just do a quick recap. I know we talked about a lot today, so let me just give you the 3 steps. Step 1, recognize when your ego is active. When you're making comparisons, when you're saying you're too good for things, when you're pumping yourself up, and you're bringing other people down. And step 2, separate it. Separate your ego and your anxiety from the part of your brain that is you. That is the part of you that wants to do something completely different than what your ego is saying. Make that separation. Step 3, just simply say, oh, that is my ego, that is my anxiety, it is separate from me, and now I can get rid of it. Like, I don't need to listen to what it's saying, I don't need to act on it. It is separated and it is gone. Remember, this is just how it worked for me. You might not even have this problem. Or if you do, you might come to the same answer a completely different way. This is just how it worked for me, so I wanted to share it with you today. I hope this video helped you. I'll leave the full Dr. K video down in the description below, and while you're down there, check it yourself. We're getting close to 10K. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again very soon.